The time has come. A wrecking of darkness, shadowing chaos will engulf this wretched realm. And the charge will be led by you, our three generals of rule. The first assignment is to expand our base. We are to lay siege to the Temple of the Eye. We need to increase our territory. Let's start with you, Bealach. How can we circumvent the Overseer's protections within the vast ocean?
The Overseer's Council is not expected to remain. They will know of our coming. This will give us an opening to enter through the Council Temple in the ruins of the old civilizations. There we can await the non-possessed in an area of false safety and eliminate the ones we do not need.
And you contemporary. Do we know which members can be possessed? And how will we begin to take the vulnerable?
The Council are the same species as the Elder Council, and there are a few within their blood just on the outside that will most likely try to escape to join the Council. The key is to be quiet and undetectable at first, weaving through the colony and taking key pieces within without the rest knowing. Possessed to set up the final attack against the ones who will try to escape. But with Enos Yul-Yulat waiting in the council room, we can capture the ones we want to be alive, to use as bait against the Overseer Council and the Elders. That will prompt the escape of the others to their doom.
And finally, Aqua Mortura. Tell us the phase of the plan that will reverberate our chaos and fear throughout the realm, to show the Overseers and Elders that we are destined to take the throne.
We possess 1/3 and use them to slaughter the rest. And then my section will consume their souls and use their knowledge of the final planet's barriers in order to carve a path to the Temple of the Eye without resistance from Elder or Overseer magic. We choose 1/3 because once we take the throne, we can use the possessed as weapons to permanently shatter the barrier to the void, awakening and unleashing all within. We don't need any more, so the rest are useless.
Excellent. It is time to move out and begin our quest. The next phase will come quickly after we take the ocean planet. We can feel the green ball awakening as the chosen one candidates continue to play. We do not need the chosen one, only the beginning of the second phase. Now move out. It is time for a little fun.
Yes, so great and powerful hive, Obscitans Abyssus!
Welcome to the quest for the Green Ball, a war within. We are back within our own divisions for our first divisional rematches this week after a non-divisional week that solidified the top contenders in the playoff race. One division is still a gauntlet, as two others remain with clear frontrunners. But the wildcard race is certainly heating up with two games separating 6 teams for the final 2 spots. Just 5 weeks to go before the playoffs. There was one huge result for the playoff race this past week that came from our Game of the Week! as the clash at Demonhead took on the Fighting Mooses at Arsa Swadwale. The clash at Demonhead moved to 6-3 overall and into the top wildcard spot, just one game out of first place in the division with a 96.7 to 64.62 win over the Fighting Mooses. The Fighting Mooses have been plagued by injuries all season, and the player to watch, Ramondre Stevenson, was ruled out for this game, leaving them with few options to fill the flex position. The clash at Demonhead on the other side rode on the back of Christian McCaffrey and his 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence added 2 touchdowns, and Romeo Dobbs picked up 91 yards. Player to watch, James Cook, finished with 125 yards, but was vultured by Josh Allen when it came to touchdowns. Jalen Warren's 2 touchdowns were really the lone bright spot for the Fighting Mooses, which falls to 3-6 overall, 2 games back of a wild card spot. Golden Ticket remains on top of the league with an impressive 166.76 to 89.52 beatdown over The Stars Are Right. That score tied Treatem and Eatem for the 4th best weekly score in league history, and of course that score by Treatem and Eatem came back in week 2. So that's 2 times this year we've had the 4th best weekly score in league history. Golden Ticket also gets the Tree of Nani rivalry award as they move to 8-1 overall, 3 games up in their division. Lamar Jackson started things off with 4 touchdowns on Thursday night. Rico Dowdle added 141 yards and 2 scores as a candidate for waiver pickup of the year. Brock Bowers returned from injury to collect 3 touchdowns and 133 yards. Devontae Adams scored twice, and Drake London decided to have a big game with 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then you had Jamar Chase chipping in 111 yards, because why not? Puka Nacua had 98 yards and a touchdown to lead my team. And Kaimi Fairbairn and the Rams defense combined for 29 points, but injuries to DeAndre Swift before the match and Jaden Daniels during the match hurt here and may hurt in the future. My squad falls to 6-3, but remains in first in the Dream Division. Remember, the Titans pulled out an 82.76 to 80.1 victory over Thorlacher in a huge game with wildcard implications. Kyle Monangai had 198 total yards, and Jackson Smith and Jigba collected 140 yards. Drake May picked up 2 passing touchdowns for Remember the Titans as well. Ashton Genty led Thorlacher with 89 yards and a touchdown, while Derrick Henry, Michael Pittman, and Travis Etienne all had over 100 yards. Cortland Sutton reached the end zone, but it wasn't enough. Both teams are now 5-4. Treatem and Eatem remains second overall in the league with a 7-2 start after a 93.26 to 89.3 win over the Stellar Bitches. Treatem and Eatem did lose Tucker Kraft to an ACL injury, but they were led by T. Higgins here, who had 121 yards and 2 scores along with a 2-point conversion. Jared Goff also threw 2 touchdowns, and the Texans defense had a sack and 2 forced turnovers. Colston Loveland came out of nowhere with 118 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead the Stellar Bitches, including a 50-plus yard score. Dalton Kincaid added 101 yards and a score, and Josh Downs also reached the end zone. But a surprising 0 by Roma Dunze ended up being the difference here. The Stellar Bitches fall to 3-6 and are now 2 games back of a wild card spot. Green Acres earned a huge win over defending champion Pounders, 133.9 to 99.64. Sam Darnold decided to throw 330 yards and 4 touchdowns out of nowhere. Kareem Hunt, Kyron Williams, Justin Jefferson, Rashid Rice, and Noah Fant also reached the end zone. The Ravens defense added 2 sacks, an interception, and 2 fumble recoveries. Matthew Stafford led Pounders with 4 touchdowns, and Josh Jacobs, Theo Johnson, and the Cowboys defense all scored as well. In the end, Green Acres had too much firepower this week and moves to 4-5, 2 games back in his division and just 1 game back of the wild card. Pounders falls to 2-7 and is in serious trouble to not be able to defend his title in the playoffs. Low-key Lebowski Thor upset the Overcomers 98 to 74.32 to round out the week. Caleb Williams is the reason why this score happened. 280 passing yards, 53 rushing yards, 22 receiving yards, 4 total touchdowns, including a 50-plus yard score. Just a beast performance out of nowhere. Quentin Johnston and Trey McBride also scored, and Chase Brown added 112 yards. The Overcomers had 3 touchdowns by Josh Allen and another by Juwan Jennings, but it was a tough week as they fall 2 games back in the wildcard race at 3-6. Lebowski Thor is trying to survive and close the season strong at 2-7 overall. The Dream Division is still in play after this week, with Green Acres 2 games back, but now less than 40 points back of my team, the Stars Are Right. The Overcomers and the Fighting Mooses are not eliminated from division contention. They are closer to the wild card spots, though. In the Shadow Division, Treatum and Yeatum holds a 1-game lead over the Clash at Demonhead, while Thorlacker is 2 games back. Treatum and Yeatum has a huge points advantage, but the Clash at Demonhead has the head-to-head advantage over Treatum and Yeatum right now. Finally, Golden Ticket is 3 games up in the Power Division with 5 to play and also holds a massive points lead. Remember, the Titans is suddenly in the 5th spot in the wild card, but the Stellar Bitches, though they are 2 games back of Remember the Titans, does have the head-to-head tiebreaker over Remember the Titans at the moment. I have seen wild twists and turns late in the season before, so you never know what can happen, which makes these divisional matchups extra huge. And in the next, we get an excited matchup out of the Dream Division as my first place 6-3, the Stars Are Right squad, takes on 3-6, the Overcomers, in the Bealach Caves. As the Shadow Army readies its onslaught on the Master Realm, let's see how the journey to the Temple of Eye is going before we jump into this matchup.
These caves will be our last refuge from the scavengers. They will not travel in here.
Why do I feel like there's a catch?
I am definitely expecting one too.
Come on, Kian, give us some good news.
These are the Bealach Caves. Quite simply, it is a narrow pathway that goes under these mountains and leads to the Ordis region, a long sunlit field of hills that leads right into the Kingdom of Power, the Elder's stronghold. We are not free of danger. The Elders can send many things into these caves, and we would need to hide in the crevices and openings around us, which are few and far between. But the scavengers should be our biggest fear. If they catch us, there will be no escape.
When you say other dangers, what do we need to prepare for? I'd like to keep our friends playing in the league safe.
There are the zombies controlled by the Elders, the creatures like you just encountered, and of course, insect creatures from the void that roam the cave walls and can melt your skin. Of course, because you can't say danger without acidic carnivorous insects. Your sarcasm is not lost on me. Even as an overseer, I find this journey very difficult to understand. Perhaps it is the test of our wills. Maybe it is attached to the green bowl in the Temple of the Eye. It wouldn't be the first time the Elders couldn't control their own magic.
Even with the dangers and the uncertainty, we must continue on. The shadows and their army will not be kind to us if we are caught in their wake. And we can take inspiration from these league friends who continued to play to be the chosen one through all the pain and anguish that comes week to week.
That's a great point, Mario. We do have a huge late-season divisional match going on right now. Will the Stars Are Right get another chance in the playoffs after falling so painfully short of the Green Bowl last season? Can the Overcomers overcome a tough stretch of recent play to get back into the playoff hunt and avoid being left out of the playoffs again?
Knowing the anxiety of these late-season matches, I almost think that dealing with acidic insects might be a better time.
Are you saying that pain of having your skin melt off is better than the pain of losing?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's a good mindset to have, because once we get through these caves, the toughest stretch of the journey remains.
May we all dream well today, for tomorrow could be a nightmare.
Injury concerns for the Stars Are Right will have the Overcomers overjoyed as they have a 53.7% chance to win right now. Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley are 2 stars for the Overcomers, and both will need to step up here to get a bulk of the points. Aaron Jones can be a big advantage if DeAndre Swift can't go, but Devon Achane can easily score big for the Stars Are Right and make up for all that. Puka Nacua has another injury concern that needs to be watched, and it will be a big blow if he can't go, even with the options on the bench. Jalen Waddle, Jordan Addison, and Nacua are the best advantages for the Stars Are Right, with Ladd McConkey, Juwan Jennings, and Woody Marks on the other side. The choice at tight end will be big for the Stars, all right, while the Browns versus Seahawks defense battle should also loom large. Kaimi Fairbairn suddenly has an injury concern, which is very tough with how well he has done at kicker so far this season. That could leave the door open for Jason Myers and the Overcomers. But there are two players I'm looking at a little bit closer here. For the Overcomers, I'm taking a look at a tight end who is on the trading block right now. Sam Laporta from the Detroit Lions. Laporta is trending upward on a high-powered Lions offense with 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games and over 90 yards receiving in 2 of the last 4 games. It was a slow start, just 177 yards and no scores in the first 4 games for Laporta this season. But Laporta did have 10 touchdowns and 889 yards in his rookie campaign, 7 touchdowns with over 700 yards last season. So the talent is there despite the numbers going down each year so far. This week, he gets a big-time matchup. He goes up against Washington. They are just 29th against tight ends this season. Quite inept. Tucker Kraft had 124 yards and a score in week 2 against them. Kyle Pitts had 70 yards and a score in week 3, sorry. Jake Ferguson had 2 scores in week 7. Travis Kelce finished with 99 yards and a score in week 8. Even Elijah Arroyo scored against them last week, so even tight ends that are more touchdown dependent are doing well. They did hold Brock Bowers to 38 yards and 4 catches in week 3, but Bowers obviously has been injured. They have allowed 4 of their 6 touchdowns to this position in the last 3 weeks, so they're getting worse as the season goes along. So this is shaping up to be a potential big week for Laporta, which could be great for the Overcomers, not just with her weekly score and how he can help her possibly get a win. It will help that trade stock if she still wants to move them. So if Laporta scores and continues to get double-digit fantasy points, that could be the reason why they eke out a win against my squad this week. But if he struggles and is kept out of the end zone, not only does that hurt the Overcomers' chances with a victory that they must have, it hurts the trade stock if they're trying to use Laporta to get better in other areas or even get draft picks for next season. For my team, the Stars are right. I'm turning to quarterback Jackson Dart. My team desperately needs some consistency at the position with Jaden Daniels looking like an injury bust made of glass on a team with awful coaching. Dart has a stretch of good matchups coming up and has done well even in tough matchups since becoming a starter in week 4. Dart has had multiple touchdowns in all 6 of his starts this season and is a threat with his arm and his legs, especially with Cam Scadaboo out. Dart has had 4 games with over 50 rushing yards and has scored a rushing touchdown in 5 of 6 games. He's thrown for multiple touchdowns in 3 games, but one weakness is with passing yards. He's had over 200 yards just twice so far passing. He has had just 1 interception in the past 4 weeks, which is a good sign that he's not turning the ball over. This week he goes up against a Bears defense that is 29th against quarterbacks. The Bears allowed Daniels and Tyler Huntley to rush over for 50 yards this season as the 2 lone mobile quarterbacks they faced. While they've picked off 13 passes this season, they have allowed 20 passing touchdowns, including 12 in the past 5 weeks. Joe Flacco had 4 touchdowns. Daniels had 3 touchdowns. Even Spencer Rattler and Geno Smith had multiple touchdown passes against this Bears team. Jared Goff had 5 touchdowns earlier this season in week 2, and even rookie J.J. McCarthy in his first game had 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown against the Bears in week 1. So Dart should have his opportunities to score, and again, that's a big need for the Stars Are Right team. If Dart can emulate the past few performances he's had, that will be a giant boost to help mask some weak spots due to injuries. But if he throws up some bust numbers this week out of nowhere, that might be the reason why my team will begin to sweat in our division title race. Clearly, this is a huge matchup, but depending on the results, so is the 4-5 Green Acres matchup against 3-6 the Fighting Mooses in this division. 1, the Fighting Mooses win could catapult them ahead of Green Acres in the standings by a head-to-head record. 2, a Green Acres win could put them right back into the hunt for a divisional title with a long way to go. Green Acres currently has a 62.8% chance to win. The Fighting Mooses has to choose between Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love, but Hurts is expected to play. Baker Mayfield hopes to have some healthier offensive weapons after a bye. Kyron Williams versus Jalen Warren, and Nico Collins versus Justin Jefferson are key areas. Devontae Smith could also cancel out Hurts TDs if Hurts is on the other side, but the Broncos defense is a big advantage over Baltimore. 8-1 Golden Ticket has an 85.7% chance to win versus 3-6 the Stellar Bitches, who need a quarterback in the power division. Kyler Murray's now on IR, and Dak Prescott's on a bye. And with Lamar Jackson on the other side, this is a big-time spot in the lineup. Rico Dowdle and Bucky Irving versus Bijan Robinson and Elvin Kamara are other key areas. And Roma Dunze and A.J. Brown will have to have big games to compete with Devontae Adams and Drake London. Look out for the Panthers versus Bills defense battle, too. 5-4, remember the Titans, has a 73.9% chance to win over 2-7 Lebowski Thor, after he adds in his running back, of course. Drake May versus Caleb Williams and Jamar Gibbs versus Quinshawn Judkins are both huge spots. Lebowski Thor will also need touchdowns throughout the lineup to compete with Kamani Vidal, Mika Ibuka, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. But will it be Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, or Trey McBride, or a combination of all three to step up here? In the Shadow Division, 7-2 Treat 'em and Eat 'em has a 75% chance to win. Matthew Stafford versus Jared Goff and Josh Jacobs versus Jonathan Taylor are two big areas. The Sun God versus Wandale Robinson is huge for Pounders, and the Texans versus Eagles defense battle could be a turning point. Pounders needs a lot of touchdowns here, most likely. Lastly, in a huge divisional and wildcard matchup, we get 6-3 the Clash at Demonhead taking on 5-4 Thorlacker. Thorlacker has a 54.7% chance to win. Justin Herbert versus Aaron Rodgers is massive, and a lot of points could come from the Christian McCaffrey and James Cook versus Derrick Henry and Ashton Jeanty matchup. Cortland Sutton versus Zay Flowers also looks to be key, as is Travis Etienne versus Romeo Doubs. The Lions' defense could be in for a big game with Washington banged up, while the Colts look to bounce back against the Falcons. Overall, this should be a fun week with so much on the line in both divisional and wildcard races. For the teams at the bottom, this week will probably tell us if any of them have a chance at the playoffs, while teams in the middle still have a lot of work to do. With just 5 weeks to go, the playoffs are starting to come into view, and the goal is to just get in at this point, and then you worry about making a run. I say it all the time, it's the hardest thing to do in fantasy football is make the playoffs. Though two teams might be looking ahead to the semifinals already based on the previous results, I do want to say that's the show for the week. Hope you enjoyed it. Join us next week as we go back out of our divisions for the second to last time and reach the second to last section in the Master Realm before the courtyard to the Temple of the Eye. Until next time, salut. And before you go, be sure to check out the updated power rankings.